I just showed you clips from this weekend, specifically Saturday, not Friday. We were open Friday and Saturday. And on Saturday, those clips were from what is called the Art Walk here. Excuse me. Plus, they had the Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, was celebrated yesterday. I'm sorry, on Saturday, not yesterday. Today's Monday, February 12th. But yes, Saturday, what is it? It was February 10th. So those clips were from when we were open. We actually opened earlier and closed much later because of all of the people that were here and the event that was going on. So we opened at 11, and then our employee stayed until 8, but then I stayed another 2 hours until 10 o'clock. So I was here, so I was making those videos because I was still here, and there was still a lot of people. Sorry, I should not move around so much. I got to get better about that. There was a lot of people, so I wanted to show what it sort of feels like, what it's like when we're open, without having a camera in people's faces as they're in the store. So that's why I went outside and showed you what was going on. As you saw, it was super packed with lots of vendors. There was music. There's unfortunately a DJ right outside where that bench is, right outside of our door, and we keep our door open so people feel welcome to come in, not to deal with the door. And the DJ is blasting the music the whole time. And, it's how it is. It's a party. It's a celebration, but it's pretty loud. So that's just one thing. And that doesn't happen every single Saturday or every event we have, or every event that there is outside. But nonetheless, that was the reality of Saturday. And, but yeah, because of so many people, this side of our street here was, as you saw, was packed with lots of vendors. And then on the other side, when you cross the main street down there, it was pretty, or it had some other vendors, probably like, I think about, I don't know, a dozen or so were on the other side, and people were crossing the street to go over there. So people were kind of coming back and forth. Most of the food was on this side. And there was not only the DJ, so the DJ was right here, and then further over, which I didn't show you, there is a little plaza, and there was live music being played. They were doing some traditional music, like there was a band of Chinese music, I guess. I don't know exactly what it was, but they were doing that. And then, when we walked past, they were singing like some songs in English, some like classics or whatever. So that was kind of interesting. But anyway, that was what was happening this past Saturday. And because there were so many people that came in our store, like we literally had, I showed you briefly how the store was pretty packed. We consistently had people coming in, at least when I was here. It was rare that the store was empty, and I got here because I had my warehouse, my book and media store. I had to close it. Sorry, I wasn't working at it, but I had to close it in terms of putting the Gaylords back and all of that at 5. So I didn't get over here till about 6 o'clock. But from 6 to 10, essentially the store always had somebody in it. I think there was maybe one time that I remember where there was nobody for like a few minutes. And so anyway, it's all to say that was a positive thing, because the more people that know about us, the better. And one direct result of that was two, actually, I'll talk about, but this one here, I don't want to show you up close because those are people's emails and names. But on that book, we're taking people's names and emails to sign them up for our newsletter. And I just counted it up. We had 9 new people from this weekend sign up, which is awesome. And so our newsletter is growing, and the newsletter it's been, all this time, except until now, it's been exclusively about my first location, my book and media location, and basically information that has to do directly with that store. So I post photos in there of what's going on. Of the new inventory, and then any information that's going on, if we're having a sale, if hours have changed, if anything. So now, though, the newsletter is going to be combined with that location and this location. So I've included now a separate section in the newsletter which has photos of the new inventory, the new books we put in here in this bookstore. But the benefit of having people sign up here is that they will learn about our first location, which is the books and media, my warehouse space turned into retail. They'll learn about that location as well. So hopefully there'll be some crossover, and vice versa. people that are getting the newsletter about or signed up for it in the first location are going to learn about now our standalone bookstore. So that's another positive of getting more people to sign up for the newsletter. Just more exposure. I started the newsletter a few years ago, and initially I had 70 people. What do you call it? That's where it started. And now we're like, I can't remember. Now we're, well, with these 9 new people, it'll be around like 270 or so. So it's not massive, but it's growing. And I think having this location and getting more people to come in here than go into my other location, it's going to be, it's going to grow a lot quicker. So that's good. So that's the first thing. The second thing that having so many people in was great, was a positive, was that we had a lot more people buying books based on a normal Saturday. Saturdays are generally busier than Fridays. I don't know why people keep looking at my store as I drive by. Is it because I have the lights on? It's odd. Everybody that drives by while I'm making the video is looking in. So I guess that's it. I guess that's why. It's funny. That's another big difference, by the way, between this location and the first one. And I think this is vlog or video 8 of my opening a new bookstore series, which I didn't mention in the beginning of the video, but nonetheless, you will know that by when I name it. But that's another benefit of being down here, is there's just people that are driving by right in front of the bookstore. Whereas my warehouse location, people drive by on the street, but they don't know I'm there unless I'm open with the signs out, because I'm not the very first business on the corner, and obviously no signs out, no one knows. But here, being a storefront, people know. So anyway, it's the differences between the two locations. But the benefit of having so many people come through here is getting more emails for our newsletter. But number 2, the immediate impact is more sales. So this last weekend, which was 2 days ago, right? The 9th and the 10th, February 9th and 10th, was the second best in terms of gross sales compared to the previous weekend, which was our best. Now, why was the previous weekend, which would have been the 2nd and the 3rd of February, the best? Well, that was because we sold a book that we had back here on the shelves, which was a first edition Stephen King book, still sealed, for $125. So that boosted our sales. If you took that book sale away and let's say replaced it with an average book sale of $5 or $7 or $10 or whatever, then it would have been like an above average weekend. So that really boosted our numbers. But without a big sale this past weekend, we almost reached what we got the previous weekend. So there was no big, no one bought a book for $50 or $80 or $100 in the store this last weekend. But yet our gross sales were the best aside from the previous. So anyway, so that was a good thing. But having seen or watching how many people actually came in the front door and walked in, it was a very low percentage. I don't know exactly that percentage. That would have been really hard to track unless I was counting everyone that came in and everyone that walked in the door, and then counting everyone that actually paid for a book. Then I could have those two numbers and figure out what percentage was of people that bought a book or made a purchase. So I don't know, but it seemed to me like it was pretty low. Like I would say 20-30% of people that walked in the door when I was here, and I wasn't here the whole day, but when I was here for about 4 hours, that actually bought something. And that might even be too high. It might have been lower because there was just a lot of people there were hundreds of people that came in when I was here, hundreds that walked in and they looked and then they left without buying something. And, it might be, this could be a whole video about this topic, but it could be sort of the novelty of a used bookstore. There's just, in our area, in certain cities, like I know in certain areas of Los Angeles, the city, LA proper, that there are way more of a concentration of bookstores. Not a ton, but way more. And I know in Northern California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, specifically Oakland and Berkeley, that there's a high concentration of small independent bookstores. Some of them new books, some of them used, but there's a lot. I'm from that area and I grew up around that. And even now there's still a lot. But here where I live in what is technically called the Inland Empire, although this is in a city that is still LA County, there's just not very many used bookstores. Bookstores, period. There's one Barnes and Noble, a big Barnes and Noble in the mall. And then there is, aside from my 2 bookstores, I only know of 2 others within many miles, within, a huge population. So it's kind of, I feel like it's a novelty. People say, oh, a used bookstore. And they walk in, oh, that's cool. But I had no intention of buying anything, but it's cool. But it's exposure for us, right? They know we're here. And that type of event brings people, not just that are locals, but might be a few cities over or even further. And so it's a good thing overall that we got hundreds of people over the whole Saturday. I mean, there must have been, I couldn't imagine how many. I mean, when I was here, easily a few hundred that came through the door. So even before that, for the previous 7 hours that we were open, I could imagine that over 1,000 people came through. I mean, I'm guessing, but a lot of people for us. So it's exposure, right? Even though someone walks in and doesn't buy something, they might come back and buy something. They might tell a friend who comes back, who then tells a friend, etc. I saw specifically some people who came in, didn't buy anything, but signed up for the newsletter, which was funny. But maybe they just didn't see anything they wanted, but they're interested and they want to know more and, that kind of thing. So they want to be on the inside track of what's going on. So it's a lot of positives, a lot of positives. And, because I'm trying not to be hard on the business or on myself, but I always kind of tend to lean towards that in terms of, oh, why don't more people buy when they walk in? But I should just look at it as, hey, good amount of people signed up for the newsletter. People saw that we're here. Some people were asking questions. There was people that came in that had come into the bookstore in its previous incarnation, that knew the previous owners, and we're glad that we had reopened. We had at least 3 people when I was here that were talking about that. And now they know that we're reopened. So that's a good thing. And they had positive things to say. So that's always good. Okay, another side note before I end the video. So here's what it's like to walk in the front door. We have our checkout counter here. There's some manga, which our employee put up here, which is really cool now, which we're trying to add to. Anyway, and then, the fiction here, which is sci-fi and fantasy, etc. You walk in, the store kind of opens up the space. There's nonfiction over here. We have our new releases. We have all these cool electronics that's a backstory that I put out. And this is the store, right? It's not huge. It's kind of long and narrow. And why do people almost automatically walk directly to the back here where I'm walking right now? Why? They walk back here and kind of hang out back here. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? Because I was thinking, well, some people maybe aren't seeing the new releases, which we have out on the table in the front as well. We put new releases out there, but also lots of cool new books that have hit the shelves in the last few weeks are out here. Now, should we move some of those back here, specifically on these shelves where there's lots of space here and here? Let me have these lights on. Should we put some new releases here because people seem to go back here? Number one, that's my question. Should we do that? Number two, why do you think people are going to the back of the store automatically? I was just talking about that with my wife and our employee, and I don't know. Because I understand, you walk in and one of us is sitting there, we say hello, and some people are uncomfortable, or they're not. Some people just don't want to talk, which, they just want to get away from that or the entrance. So I understand coming in a little bit, but why do people just go straight to the back? Anyway, I don't know. But so that's what's been going on with the store. If you're new to the vlog or new to the series, we opened the first week of January, and this was our, I think, 6th weekend? I believe so. I believe this has been 6 weekends we've been open. It could be 7, but I believe it's 6. So it's been a month and a half essentially, and we decided to just open it kind of abruptly instead of planning out things too much, over planning. Sometimes it's better just to do it, you know, just start running. And that's what we've been doing. And so this has been an update of that ongoing as things evolve. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I'm trying to include as much information as I can about what's going on, any changes, positives and negatives. And it seems like the channel, my YouTube channel, the most popular videos are the ones about the bookstore that we've opened. So that's cool. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.